Prime ministers of Britain, Canada, and France made a joint statement yesterday about the war. What? Or there was already
But
faces there.
president of France.
Oh, yeah. The leaders of those three countries made a statement um, expressing, well, I'll let you guess. What do you think they expressed? Is it support for Israel defeating its enemies? Is it Israel's right to defend itself? By the way, they did express that somewhere in there, but no, they expressed support for Hamas. Now, they didn't put it in those words, but let's look at the context. Um, Hamas has a standing offer to end the war. They need to release the hostages and surrender. They haven't done that in a year and a half. Nobody among the Palestinian population has demanded that, except a few small protests here and there in recent months that are getting crushed by Hamas, and we don't hear much about that from world leaders. There's a negotiation for a deal where maybe all the hostages are released, maybe some of them, the okay, those negotiations, we can talk about the mediator in those negotiations later, but those negotiations are ongoing. And the demand there was not that Hamas concede, on anything and agree to Israel's, with Israel conceding on a bunch of things and agree to the deal. So Hamas does not want an end to the war that it started. And the prime ministers of Britain and Canada and the president of France are demanding that Israel end it without winning it, and send a message not just to Hamas but to Israel's other enemies, the other savages surrounding Israel that have dedicated their life to the destruction of the Jewish state and the killing of all Jews. We're with you. There's been more. This statement was yesterday. We're going to read it soon, but there's been more since. Israel is surprisingly kind of standing up for itself diplomatically, but that's not enough. And we're going to talk about that both on the Daily Objective and on the reality show. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg. I'm joined by Daniel. Daniel, your initial thoughts on this?
I mean, what do you really say to this? I really hope we will never get invaded because we are fucked. Like, we do not offer any response. We do not, like, we are not willing to fight any, not only like willing to fight, we do not even want other people to fight against. And we are not even talking about like mixed economy, sort of like dictatorships or authoritarian nations. We're not talking about like Russia. We're not talking about China. We're talking about the terrorist organization that managed to take control over some region, and then the people in that region are willing to basically work with the terrorist organization, are willing to hide their crimes, are willing to help them hide hostages, are willing to help them support in every single regard, support every decision they make. And even that, it's like, and even we are not even like responding. Like Israel, it's not even that Israel is doing anything people accuse it of. Israel is not committing any genocide. Israel is barely like fighting a war. Like the aid, uh, again, remember the plan for it. The plan, the Gideon's chariots, was that there was going to be aid given just in certain areas, and until then there was no aid going in. That wasn't that was too much. So Israel itself bended before even sort of it escalated and allowed aid from to go into Gaza, and even that isn't enough. So I am like, in some ways I'm not scared because I have an understanding that evil is impotent, and we've seen how useless Russia, how useless Iran, how useless China is. So in some ways they can never really take out the West. But if there ever was a capable like dictatorship, which is sort of like oxymoron, if there ever was like an actual enemy that we had to fight, we would have no willingness to actually fight it. Like if there was a Nazi Germany in current era, we simply, I have no idea what we would do. Like this amount of corruption in philosophy, this amount of like I don't like willingness to compromise, willingness to basically give them whatever they want, like reward them for everything. The fact that Palestinian state was recognized after October 7 by more countries than ever. The fact that UNRWA still exists. The fact that the UN itself still exists with so many things. The fact that Francesca Albanese was, got her position as the um, as the special
Special
rapporteur
rapporteur.
for the Palestinian territories. Uh, uh, I mean, like, yeah, where do we even move from now on? Like, I wanted to make a comment that basically, uh, people who voted for Trump, I understand it. Especially if this is the alternative, I understand why some people just want somebody who's gonna be tough. But even he is also pushing for Israel to compromise with it. We can also go into that. But people who are anti-left, I get it.
Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. All right, there were a few comments I wanted to comment on. Yoav Daniel is from Slovakia. Stephanie, what is wrong with the world? Good question. We're working on it, but I don't think I'm really losing optimism. Bonnie, the crown thing is a new YouTube thing. We don't exactly know what it is. We'll see.
Well,
And
basically, I mean, YouTube just rolled that update, I think, today. So people who have that, basically, you are given points based on how much you comment, based on also if you super chat, based on your interaction with the live stream. So people, the more you interact with us, the more points you get. And if you have the most points, you get like a special badge. Now, I don't think there are any sort of rewards yet, besides sort of like being at the top of the chat. But yeah, it's something that, and we'll
yeah.
try to build upon it.
All right. So let's read the actual statement. This is from the British, this is a joint statement. It's from the Prime Minister's office website, but all right, this is a statement. We strongly oppose the expansion of Israel's military operations in Gaza. The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable. Yesterday's announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza is wholly inadequate. We call on the Israeli government to stop its military operations in Gaza and immediately allow humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. This must include engaging with the UN to ensure a return to delivery of aid in line with humanitarian principles. We call on Hamas to release immediately the remaining hostages they have so cruelly held since the 7th of October 2023. You know what? Let's pause there. This is
Yeah,
we do this
I want to
we
jump
do
in.
this sometimes.
And what if they? Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
what
do
if they
this sometimes
don't?
with Guardian articles. I don't think Guardian articles typically go as far as the statement, and typically are also not praised by Hamas. But yeah, let's do that here. Yeah, there's a lip service at the end for the hostages, and the rest of the statement. Yeah, you wanted to say something,
No,
Bonnie.
I mean, let's say it's not a lip service. Let's say it's a demand. What if Hamas doesn't release the hostages? What if Palestinians don't release the hostages? Will there be any repercussions for that? Will like the UN come in and do some sort of condemnation, some sort of UN Security Council resolution against Hamas or the Palestinian people or against the Palestinian state? Will there be any, or is the obligation only on Israel to basically stop trying to retrieve those hostages that were taken? Again, this war wasn't started by Israel starting a war against Palestinians, and then Hamas took some hostages or something. Hamas first took the hostages, and then Israel responded by declaring a war. Not declaring a war, Hamas declared war. Israel is simply responding in kind. Why is there obligation on Israel to first do something rather than Hamas? Why is there not a single obligation on Hamas to do anything? Not a single thing. Give me like one thing that Hamas did that is demanded by international community. Establishing humanitarian corridors? No. Releasing the hostages? No. Letting the Red Cross or the Red Crescent or the Red there's one more thing visit the hostages? No. Like, the world is simply against Israel. There is no, like, I don't, anybody who says that Israel has a right to defend itself, or that hostage should really, you are lying to yourself. You are evading what's happening. You do not care. You simply want Israel to stop defending itself. That's what you're demanding.
Yeah.
And
And yeah,
that's the only thing.
on the question, what happens if they don't release the hostages? The whole statement, but even that paragraph alone is clear about it. It's a very long, it's a long paragraph with absolutely, 100% is lip service. I don't know why you insist on trying to find a way to read something positive into this, because the whole thing details what Israel, should do. And we saw, at least in the UK, we saw the prime minister follow up with the threat of sanctions. What threat is there against Hamas? I mean, it's designated a terrorist organization. I don't think anybody cares about that in Hamas. Maybe some of their supporters here don't like the fact that they can't wave their flags. But yeah, there will be no repercussions. It's not a statement for Hamas. It's a statement about Israel. Everything about it is very, very clear. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. Before we continue, PC says, Razi, that image of Starmer, Macron, and Canadian Prime Minister is appropriate. When I saw it, I called Daniel, told him to make sure, put it aside, make sure it's a nominee in the ARCUK Awards in late December, because I completely agree. All right, back to the statement. The Israeli government's denial of essential humanitarian assistance to the civilian population is unacceptable and risks breaching international humanitarian law. We condemn the abhorrent language used recently by members of the Israeli government, threatening that in their despair at the destruction of Gaza, civilians will start to relocate. Permanent forced displacement is a breach of international humanitarian law. Okay, let's look at that for a second. Yeah, the statements, unfortunately, by the Israeli government, by people, this is specifically Netanyahu who made this statement, was about voluntary relocation. Now, that is the problem with that statement. But of course, that is the problem with that statement if you think it's okay for Jews to live in their own country, in Israel where it is now. If not, then not. Daniel.
Yeah, somebody again spreads propaganda in the chat. The hostages were offered on October 10th. Netanyahu said no. Tell me where in international law it allows you to take hostages from other country, take civilians as hostages. You know, under international law, you don't take hostages, you release them. You cannot do that. You cannot trade with hostages. And just because you give some trade that they'll give back hostages if Israel releases terrorists, that doesn't mean that you are willing to sort of uphold it. In a similar way, Israel can say, you know, yeah, we will stop going into Gaza if Hamas gets dismantled. Palestinians adopt Western culture, and all the hostages will be released. And okay, you have that, and Hamas disregards it. Hamas has rejected that, so Israel can do whatever it wants. Like the fact that this is all on Israel, that Israel, not only on Israel, Israelis are the only people in the world with agency. It's only like Jews for some reason that have free will and can actually like act upon the world to do certain things. Palestinians, no, and this is what exactly like people like Keir Starmer, Western leaders are thinking of Palestinians. For them, Palestinians are animals who cannot think for themselves, who simply are some like Newtonian force that simply act in a way when something there is a force upon them, they eject force back. That's the only way they sort of view Palestinians. They have no agency, they have no free will, they have no ability to do anything with their life. So we just have to treat them like children, we have to treat them like animals. And so aid has to go in because Hamas is not allowing something to do. It's so ridiculous. Like that's why I'm wish, and it really disappoints me because I recently saw the picture. Maybe you've seen it also. I think it was like Keir Starmer, the new prime minister, the chancellor of Germany, French president Zelensky, and I think one other person. And it's like it's like a cool picture, but they would do the exact same shit to Zelensky if he ever tried to do anything to Russia. They would absolutely throw him under the bus if he actually defended himself in any way that Israel is trying to do. It's ridiculous the amount of like lack of backbone we have in our Western, not even in our Western leaders, in the population themselves. I mean, is the population in the West like calling for something to be done in Gaza? It's disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone of replying to trolls, but my first reply to anybody who says Hamas offered to release the hostages is, uh, well, my first reply is not to engage with them, but my first statement on it would be that's of course, as everything that comes out of a supporter of the Palestinians' mouth, a lie. Hamas didn't offer to release the hostages. They don't need to offer. They just need to release them. What they offered is for Israel to capitulate. What they offered is a deal where there is no war. So remember, other than 251 hostages that were taken, people forget this. 1,200 people died, were murdered by these savages. And the deal was you let us get away with it. So, of course, if you support the Palestinians, you want people to get away with murder, with rape. I mean, if you ask any supporter of the Palestinians about their ideology beyond their support for the Palestinians, you'll see that that is generally, they're supporters of violence. They're supporters of violence, by the state because they support socialism, fascism, Islamic theocracy, all the kind of people who want totalitarianism are supporters of the Palestinians. All right. So yeah, and I'm sure they're trolling the chat as well. Okay, let me continue with this statement. Here's
Yeah,
a
just quickly, someone says detainees. Yeah, I'm sure the 6-month-year-old boy was like a prisoner of war, captured by Hamas. I mean, the people who were taken were on a music festival. Like,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
no,
want to
yeah.
see like what
No,
amount of
no.
like propaganda it's.
Yeah, yeah. So look, I get replies all the time on Twitter. What about Palestinian detainees? This is a person who tells you what about Palestinian detainees tells you that he thinks if you kill a Jew, uh, you absolutely should not be detained because you killed a Jew. You should probably get a reward. So this is not somebody worth having a conversation with. All right, but neither are the prime ministers of Britain and Canada and the president of France, except that they are leaders of countries. In this case, we are looking at what they're saying, and I think I also well, on the reality show I'll say what exactly I think Israel should do in response. But let's continue with this. This is the pro-Israel part of it. Israel suffered a heinous attack on October 7th. We have always supported Israel's right to defend Israelis against terrorism. I'm going to pause here. Daniel, don't answer this question, please. People in the chat, I'm going to give a few seconds to guess what the first word of the next sentence is. And I will repeat the last sentence in case you missed it. And so we have always supported Israel's right to defend Israelis against terrorism. Anybody in the chat guess what the next word will be? You have a few more seconds until I will continue reading. And if you guessed, yeah, Stephanie got it right. But this escalation is wholly disproportionate. I mean, of course, you have to start with but, end with disproportionate, this kind of stuff. I don't know if people actually get paid to just rehash the same exact statements that we've always heard. Yeah, I see that many in the chat got it right. So yeah, so was it who was it in Game of Thrones who says anything you say before the word but doesn't count? Believe it was Tyrion, but yeah, that's true. Absolutely true in this case. Okay, this was the pro-Israel part, which of course we saw how pro-Israel it was, and it continues. We will not stand by while the Netanyahu government pursues these egregious actions. If Israel does not seize the renewed military offensive and lift its restrictions on humanitarian aid, we will take further concrete actions in response. We oppose any attempt to expand settlements in the West Bank. Israel must halt settlements which are illegal and undermine the viability of a Palestinian state and the security of both Israelis and Palestinians. We will not hesitate to take further action, including targeted sanctions. Okay, let me pause here and say there is more in this about Jews living, but in places where Palestinians don't want them to live, than Jews being taken hostage and slaughtered. Okay, so this is if you think the pro-Israel part is anything other than lip service, consider that.
Yeah, I mean, why do they even hide behind like Israeli support? You don't. I mean, just say it. It might at least be like honest, and you can like actually look at yourself in the mirror. So say no. We accept that Palestinians are a barbaric culture, and you simply shouldn't do something about it because, we believe in self-determination. And if some Palestinians want to be barbaric, we should grant them that and allow them to do so. That is absolutely what is happening here. What else is there? What, like, you cannot say that you support something without supporting like what it takes. You cannot say that you know you believe in free speech and then advocate for like a government censorship. And in the same way, you cannot say that you believe in a I dislike and I think it, like no, Israel doesn't have a right to defend itself. Israel has an obligation as a state based on individual rights to protect its people and do whatever is necessary to end internal and external threats to their individual rights. And in this scenario, on October 7, Hamas has engaged, has yeah, basically started a conflict against Israel that was coming, that was going to happen at some point. It just happened to be October 7. Israel should have responded long before, but it decided to wait until something happens to them. Israel should completely wipe out all of Gaza for all I care. Those people do not deserve, like, they do not have any rights anymore. They've decided they had a chance to do something many times over and instead want to engage in perpetual violence against Israelis, against Jews. If that's what they want to do, give them that. Give them a fight they wanted to have, and we'll see what happens after that. But no, we are going to completely evade that. We are going to act as if it's only Hamas. And actually, it's not even Hamas. It's just the Al-Aqsa brigades. You know, it's just a military wing of Hamas, which I'm going on a limb here, but I think according to UK, all of Hamas is not even terrorist organization, although that might have got changed recently, but only the military wing um, of Hamas. So
Uh, Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says there is no Palestine, and that super chat also brings PC to the top of the leaderboard, which again, I have no idea how it works, but I mean, I can kind of figure it out. And there was another question here. Hannah asked somewhere. What about UK trade sanctions on Israel? We're going to talk about that on the reality show. Yes, I know yesterday I promised that today on the reality show we're going to talk about Gary Lineker. I, hyped it up by telling our non-UK audience that he's the Candace Owens of the UK. But yeah, uh, breaking news has superseded that, and unfortunately, yeah, we will talk about Gary Lineker, and we're going to go through that same clip that I wanted to go through about a year ago from him talking to Mehdi Hassan, but not today. But even better than Gary Lineker is Keir Starmer. Let's continue with that statement.
well, just quickly, because someone corrects me, it's Al Qassam Brigades is Hamas, Al Aqsa Brigades is the Fatah organization.
El Aqsa, not Alexa. Alexa Brigades is the Amazon army that I'm hoping will be the ones to solve this. Anyway, all right, back to Keir Starmer. We strongly support the efforts led by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt to secure an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. It is a ceasefire, the release of all remaining hostages, and a long-term political solution that offer the best hope of ending the agony of the hostages and their families, alleviating the suffering of civilians in Gaza, ending Hamas's control of Gaza, and achieving a pathway to a two-state solution consistent with the goals of the 18th of June conference in New York, co-chaired by Saudi Arabia and France. These negotiations need to succeed, and we must all work towards the implementation of a two-state solution, which is the only way to bring long-lasting peace and security that both Israelis and Palestinians deserve and ensure long-term stability in the region. Look, the authors of this do not need the quick history lesson that I'm about to give, but for 35 years, or 32 years at least, Israel was it wasn't doing the right things before, but it was engaging in a peace process that Israel was first brought to the table on in 1991 by the U.S. Making a statement that we see how much it's worth now, that they oppose the creation of a Palestinian state. It continued with Oslo. The immediate result of Oslo, a massive step towards a two-state solution, was suicide bombings regularly in Israel. Then there were, additional accords, the continuation of Oslo, and of course, when Ehud Barak, Israel's prime minister, offered Yasser Arafat everything he wanted and then some, supposedly everything he wanted and then some, Arafat said no. He didn't say why, but we know why. What he really wants isn't even a state. It's just to kill all the Jews. So the result of that was, at some point, daily suicide bombings in Israel. Israel left the Gaza Strip. If you want to talk about Israel ever committing ethnic cleansing, the closest it ever came was the removal of the Jews, all the Jews from Gaza. So Gaza could be Jew-free because that is a step towards peace, a step mentioned in this as well, but in relation to the West Bank. The response for that, or the gift that Israel got from the Palestinians for that, was 20 years of rockets, with more and more Israeli civilians being in line of fire, and of course October 7th. So the leaders who made this statement know that if Israel reads it and says, yes, let's do it your way, they know that Israelis will die. More Israelis will die, and that at some point the state of Israel will cease to exist. They know what they're doing. They know what they're saying. They are evil human beings. And look, we're going to talk about this a lot. People often talk about, why is the Ayn Rand Center UK talking about Israel so much? I think we're going to be talking about the UK quite a bit if Keir Starmer continues the pro-terrorist, pro-exterminate the Jews policy.
Yeah, and this whole thing, a conference with Saudi Arabia. I mean, the amount of like, how you jump like from one extreme to the other. In the past, there was colonialism, empires across and very sort of like almost supremacists, or almost sort of like bringing civilization type of thing, which in some cases was really bad, in some cases was I think understandable. But we went from that to basically saying, no, no, all cultures are equal. We cannot impose our morality upon them. And now we like go to Saudi Arabia to use them as like an equal partner for like anything. The people where like women do not even like actually have rights, need a male owner, need some man to own them, otherwise they basically do not exist. And we deal with them as if they are equal in any sort of way, shape, or form. And the fact that
No,
any sort of
no,
Palestinian.
no, 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 they're not equal. They're morally superior. And this has been the case. Remember, it was before October 7th, I believe in 2023, we did a show about this, where Thomas Friedman, the pro-Israel New York Times guy, supposedly, yeah, pro-Israel means different things in Israel than it means in reality, wrote that Saudi Arabia should not normalize relations with Israel because it legitimizes the Netanyahu government. So, yeah, that is the thinking there.
Yeah, so even that, it's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Israel has some problems, but in the region, and even across the world right now, when it comes to actually fighting evil, they are the most moral country in the world, and not because they throw their own soldiers into meat grinder to save some savages in Gaza. It is because, at least to some extent, they are willing to fight. Well, I want to say they are willing to fight Palestinians, but even Israel is simply doesn't have that, which we can talk about the reality show more. It's the fact that they are the ones who are being attacked now, but and they are the ones who live in this region who have to deal with it, so they have a bit better understanding of it. But overall, they are also focusing on Hamas. I remember, I think it was in the last summer, where one of the IDF spokesperson has said something like, Hamas is an idea, you cannot destroy it. And when I heard that, it's like, yeah, I mean, if you believe that they are not driven by ideology, or the fact that you cannot fight the ideology, I mean, what are you fighting then?
PC says, Razi, a stranger in this chat insulted you. I can't find it, but the reason I can't find it is because there's so much engagement. By the way, I've seen some trolls, like there's a troll that I'm guessing it's a troll. Maybe we just say funny things, doing like laughing emojis. But yeah, keep going, people. If we can't find stuff in the chat, that means a lot of engagement is happening, and more people will get to view this. Come back and insult us on the reality show as well, which starts in a couple of minutes. The title for that is why Israel should embrace European sanctions, and it's not clickbait. I am going to make that case that Israel should lean into this. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. The reality show starts in a couple of minutes.